And how is the Iron Sheik doing these days?
I don't think I talked to him. He's doing okay, but to be honest with you, I would like him to do much better because he was a great athlete, great person, great wrestler, you know. But he partied too much.
I see. And you stayed away from that
Oh, yeah.
throughout your career, yes? You obviously got along with Terry. Why do you think a lot of people didn't get along with Terry? Was it just because he was in an office position, or?
Uh, well, I really don't know. You know, I got to say this for Terry too. He got a set of balls on him. You know, he didn't take no shit from nobody. He'd stand up for himself. But a lot of guys are like that. But you know, he'd stand up. Hell, I seen him and the Sheik get in a fight one time. I'm talking about cause. You know, Terry wasn't afraid to get his ass whooped. And but I really don't know. I guess Terry's outspoken. A lot of us don't. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I used to be. I don't know if it's because I got older and mental out or medication doctor put me on. I don't know.
What was the thing with Terry and Iron Sheik over?
Oh, they get into it at a bar, and you know what? And they both of them drinking, and I gotta say this, man. It was in the and Terry. He hit Cos, but see, Terry was smart. He hit him, boy. He took a bump. Cos did, and he took off running. Terry did. Next day, we're at the Omni, and the Sheik. You got to know the Sheik. The Sheik is. I love him, man. But he's funnier than shit. He's there at 4 o'clock. He's got his shoot. You know, Cos had a. I call him Cos, but the Iron Sheik. You know, he had a shooting outfit and a working outfit. He had an outfit to go over and an outfit to lose in. It was, you know what I'm saying? No, he had his shooting shit on. And he was there, buddy. He was there at 4 o'clock, man. He's waiting for Terry Taylor to come in the door. But Dusty got a hold of wind of it and calmed it down. You know, it's funny. Don't say USC, goddamn it. All right.
Is he really like that off camera, or was that kind of an angle for you
No,
two?
that was it. No, that's his. Have you never met Darn Sheik?
Just in recent years when he's not doing too well health-wise now.
Yeah, man, he's he was crazy, dude. I remember we were going to Columbus, Georgia, to do a TV taping, and we were riding with Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin. Me and Kaz are in the back, and on the highway it goes. But you have to know the Sheik to understand this. It said roadblock up ahead, drug check. Whether Jimmy Garvin and Michael both had a bag of weed. They go, oh my God, it's a road check. They handed it back to Kaz and told him to throw it out the window. Well, he rolled the window down, but he didn't throw it out. He just put it in his pants. But when we got down there, it was when you got off the exit where they had that. We didn't even get off at that exit. And Michael Hayes was going, holy shit, man, we threw our weed out. We didn't have to do this. We didn't have to do it. Then Kaz pulls them both out. And they go, oh, thank you so much. And, oh, thank you, my ass. This belonged to Sheik. No. Sheik take care of it. Sheik keep. But you had to be there to understand this. That's the way Sheik was. He was funnier than shit, man. You know, he'd come up with some, you know, I don't know if you remember a guy named Doug Furness.
Yes.
He was real big in Japan. But, you know, he did a little deal with him. You know, when Sheik could grab the microphone, he'd get away with anything because he speak broken English. You know, he'd get on the microphone and call him Duck Fuckness.
Were you disappointed when they broke the news to you that you were going to have to lose the title, or was this something that you knew was coming?
No, I didn't know it was coming. And but I knew what they were trying to do was right. I knew that that's what they should do, because that's, I should say, an angle that people are going to sort of understand where we're trying to go, and where do we want to end up in this way.
Was the Iron Sheik somebody that you respected as a wrestler because he was also an amateur wrestler despite his outside of the ring issues?
Well, you know what? When you wrestle in the Olympics, something's happened. Something's good. And when the Sheik came in, he was here, and he was good, and he lasted a pretty good long time, and he was a name out there, and he was a wrestler in the Olympics, and that I had respect for him in one way or another, good or bad.
Whose idea was it for the towel finish? Because they must have done that out of respect for you, not having you give up or pinned. They gave you an out where you didn't really lose any credibility.
Well, the mind thinking of what the fans are doing um, are just a little different, but the towel is just happened, and they probably, as a champion, they don't want him to take a pin or something like that. But I would have did whatever they wanted me to do in the match.
Did they explain to you that the title switch was just for Hulk Hogan to eventually get it at the time, or did you think Iron Sheik was going to have a run?
I didn't know. I didn't know for sure. I didn't. I wasn't. I'm not in there in the business. I'm out here in the business. So I can't tell you.
You're going into Edmonton, Canada, across the border. And the Iron Sheik, the Iron Sheik comes up to me, and we're going passing into customs from the U.S. to Edmonton.
Okay.
And he said, and the Iron Sheik comes to me, John, I hope you don't mind. I put the gimmick in your bag. I said, what did you just say? He said, I hope you don't. I put the gimmick in your bag. A gimmick being what? Action figure, what? Drugs, cocaine, and smoky, which was pot.
Sure.
And he put it in my bag, and now I'm looking around, and there's cameras up on the wall. And I'm just going, I gotta get this shit out of my bag.
That's a hell of a time to tell you.
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah. And I took it out of my bag, and I threw it in a plant of a fake tree in customs before I crossed, because that's serious shit. Come on. And what happened was I got into Edmonton, and I punched him at the Sheik.
So you did get him. Okay.
I did get him, and Vince fired him, which I didn't feel bad because, hey, Sheik, I would have only had to do 20 years. No big deal.
So is that was it?
And
it
that's
wasn't even
a
a rip,
true
right?
story. It's how delusional he is. Him and Fuji should skip down the road holding hands. They're both so delusional.
So the Iron Sheik is the last one. So he's there. So Billy tells him just to lay flat, and because he wants to turn him over. Well, Billy couldn't turn him over. Here's the guy, 180 pounds. Billy got pissed off, frustrated, and then dropped a knee right into the Sheik's hip when he's down on the floor and relaxed. Oh, just, God, man, put a big knot. And we're all sitting there. I mean, we were shocked. I said, what the hell is that? I said, Billy, what'd you do that for? He just, he's a smart ass, Anyway, so the Sheik gets up damn near in tears. I mean, that hurt. Having somebody do that to you.
I ordered a pair of Italian flag trunks. Mario Mancini, Italian guy. I'm going to go out with the Italian flag on it. I made the trunks out of an Italian flag. So I put him on in the dressing room, and Sheik was going to the bathroom, walking by me, going to the men's room. And he stopped by and he looked down and he went, brother. I go, yeah, Sheik. He goes, yeah, you wear Sheiky's colors. Those Sheiky's colors. I go, Sheik, it's the Italian flag. No, brother. They Sheiky colors, brother. You can't wear that. I go, Sheik, it's the Italian flag. Well, like a fourth grader, he goes, Pat. And I'm like, this guy's turning me in. So Pat Patterson comes walking up. He goes, no, Mancini. What are the Sheiky's colors? And Pat looked at my trunks and he goes, you can't wear those. You can't wear those out there. So I took them off. I looked at Salvatore Bellomo and I went, hey, Sal. And he turned around and he goes, yeah. I go, you want a pair of trunks? $45. I whipped them at him. He goes, you want any money for them? I go, no, just take them, keep them.
You did mention the Iron Sheik earlier, the story about the tights. I hear there's another one that you told to the Cheap Heat Productions guy, Maurice, that's pretty funny about the airplane story. Could you share that for those that haven't heard?
So the Sheik, I wasn't there. But you know what? 7 different guys told me the story. Roma loves this story. It's one of his favorite stories. Sheik gets on the airplane. He walks down. He knows he has a middle seat. There's a woman sitting on the end seat. He didn't care about the window seat. He wanted the end seat. So he looks at the older woman and he goes, excuse me, ma'am. I am the Iron Sheik, WWF champion. I have middle seat. Do you mind if I take your seat and that you sit in the middle? Sheiky's big guy. You mind? And she goes, ma'am, please. I am the Iron Sheik, WWF champion. Please, if you can move, I appreciate it. Then please. She goes, no. He goes, oh, you fucking bitch, you fucking whore, motherfucker. Starts calling all these names. And she starts screaming, and the flight attendants come running there. And they go, what's wrong? And she goes, hey, just called me a bunch of horrible names. And they looked at him, and he goes, hey, speak no English. He speak no English.
Why did Andre the Giant dislike the Iron Sheik?
I don't know for a fact that Andre disliked Sheik, but there were probably some guys just because Sheiky Baby could be maybe a little annoying. To Andre, you never know what annoyed Andre, especially in the later years. It just could be because of Sheik's craziness too. You never know. I personally don't know.
It's funny, like if he liked somebody, he really liked him. It seemed like if he didn't like them, he just hated their guts. Like him and Kamala didn't get along. Him and Bad News Brown just seemed like he just hated their guts flat out.
I think that goes not just with Andre, but I mean with anybody in the business or anybody in something like this where you see each other every day, and sometimes you're not the most with the most what's the word I'm looking for? Manners, people who don't have manners or respect and things like that. And maybe the Sheik's habits might have caught up to him. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Iron Sheik versus Sergeant Slaughter, too. Great point by Anthony Namamondi. Those matches are great, too.
Yeah. Again, there's your story. USA versus the evil Iron Sheik from Bahrain.
It was the Cold War era. Yeah, people love to hate Russia and Iran. That's kind of coming back around, by the way.
I think it is, yes, no doubt. But culture, wrestling was reflected what the culture was. And going back to growing up, I remember 20 years removed from World War II. You had Gentleman Saul Weingroff with the von Bronner brothers, and I didn't realize the implications were as a kid, but as I got older and learned about history and learned
Waldo von Erich, yeah.
Waldo von, oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, yeah, you know the part
Yeah.
that almost got him kicked off TV.
Yes.
So it was one of those things that culture dictated who was going to be the good guys and who was going to be the bad guys, and it just happened to be convenient. Sheik didn't like how he worked with him. Oh, I don't know, maybe not, but
Andre would lay on you, you know, be stiff
if he
with
didn't like you, yeah, and if he wanted to make you look bad, I guess he had all the power to do it. So,
and I've heard fart on guys, you know, blow his
Heard
breath
that
on them, do stuff like that. Yeah,
Oof.
yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, he was. I couldn't imagine. I don't think anybody obviously couldn't imagine what it was like to be Andre and have to put up with some of the stuff he put up with, being stared at all the time, and
Yep.
and then so who knows what was bugging him. I think just being uncomfortable most of the time probably had a lot to do with it.
Loved the Hulkster. He hated Warrior, hated Savage, hated Sheiky, hated Kamala. I mean, for some reason, there's a bunch of guys. Obviously, loved Bobby the Brain, and Vince. But I mean, there's a bunch of guys he didn't like. But I could see being ornery. The plane, the car, the showers. I mean, everything must have sucked.
Yeah, sometimes I remember going to, I think it was Joe's in Fresno, California, or the original Joe's, and he would get Crown Royal for everybody, order everything for dinner. Original Joe's, yeah, was in San Jose, I think.
Oh.
I think it was San Jose, California, and he was pretty much happy the rest of the night as long as he was drinking and eating and having a good time around people that he did like the Guerreros and I was in Houston. Paul Bosch had me get on his shoulders and for the Battle Royal, and he took a picture and he always used that in the program. But I would remember him being a nice guy, and then hear stories later on about getting moody after a while, because once he became full-time WWF and doing that hectic schedule, I mean, you can only imagine, man. Here's a guy who's way out of his comfort zone and has to deal with guys who don't know anything else but to be barbarians and travel and have to make their own entertainment along the way on the road. So that could get tiresome and it could get old real fast, I guess.
I did watch the Tom Pritchard podcast that he did tonight about the Iron Sheik, who trained him, and they were wondering what the real reason was, what the alleged heat is between Brian Blair and the Iron Sheik. It has to do with a shoot interview that Brian Blair did on the Sheik, where he accused the Sheik of being a child molester. Here's a quick clip of it. It was one that Rob.
I could not believe that he had a young boy, a ring boy, in the room, a guy that wanted to be in the ring crew or something. And Sheik molested this little kid.
So yeah, that was from one of Rob Feinstein's shoot interviews. So that was the whole reason why they really had heat.
And it's kind of on the lighter side of things. It's kind of funny. It was a story you put about the Iron Sheik. It's basically with him and Ring Rat. Can you just talk a little bit about what it was like with traveling those times with Iron Sheik, who's perceived to be a little bit crazy.
Yeah, he was crazy, but he was a good guy. He was we respected each other, and Iron Sheik was a real good guy. He was funny, and we used to love to hear him talk. And the thing about it, when Ed don't care where we looked at, when he get there, he go looking for some. What could he call it now? Medicine. He go looking for some medicine That's what he called it, some drugs. And he would ask and the thing about it, he would ask anybody for drugs. You know where she can get medicine? You have medicine for Sheik everywhere we go. we went to Singapore one time. You know, I'm not a drug user and never have been, and I've been around a lot of it, being in the wrestling business. But we went to Singapore, me and Iron Sheik and a bunch of more guys. And it tell you on your declaration form that the sentence, sentence for being with any kind of drug, I don't know if I'm saying it right, sentencing, but anyway, it's a death sentence. A death sentence doing any kind of drug in Singapore. And when we got there, Daddy Iron Sheik and lit him one and walking around in the airport smoking. and they never picked up on it, never said nothing. And man, I stayed as far away from him as I could.
You ended up going back to WWE, and that's when you were teamed with the Sheik.
With the Sheik, yes. Well, that time it was it was still Cold War with Iran and Russia, and Freddie Blassie was our manager. It was just perfect time to put us together. And at that time, already come from Louisiana, I was starting in Russian and Sri Lanka. Vince McMahon loved that.
Did you know the Sheik previously at all?
Yeah, I met him in Louisiana. I was down there. Yes.
Okay. That was before he really started, because in later years.
Well, Sheik would come from amateur wrestling. He was Iranian champion. He was a world champion, good amateur wrestler, Olympic champion, and he was a good wrestler. And from wrestling, amateur, you know, sometimes it's very hard to switch to become professional wrestler.
Right.
But Sheik had a hard time, but he did it. He had a lot of willpower to do it, so he did it. Yeah.
Is there anyone that you were particularly close with in WWE in the 80s when you were, like, is there anyone you would travel with regularly?
Well, I would travel with Iron Sheik because he was tag team champions, you know. Usually tag team champions travel together most of the time, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was before that he really went off the deep end. Do you think some of these interviews that he's done on YouTube and so forth, do you think that they are more for show?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Everything's a show.
He's not really going around like that in public?
No, my God, no. No.
Yeah, so when you were driving with him?
He's a good-hearted guy. I'll give you an example. Sometime after the match, especially in California, we have a short time to catch, they call it shut-eye, a night flight to New York. And we was rushing, and we come to the airport, and people stop for autographs, especially kids. And I would say, sorry, son, I have no time, I'm going to miss my flight. Very nice and polite. She would say, oh, Nicola, you stupid son of a bitch. And I said, always have to sign for the kids. He would stop, open up his bag, and get a picture outside for the kids. A couple times we missed the plane because of that.
Oh, really? He was that dedicated to it?
Yeah, he was that dedicated. He was a good-hearted guy, yeah, but...
Did you like his movie that came out recently?
I did a couple talking parts in it, I believe I have it, yeah. I didn't see it yet, to be honest with you, but a couple people told me it's pretty good.
Very good. When this division of that tag team happened, was that because of the Iron Sheik arrest with Jim Duggan, or?
Yeah, that was a bad part, yeah. Me and Sheik was completely different. He liked to party.
Right.
So I did not.
So you weren't going out with him after the shows?
No, never, yeah. I've never been in a bar in my life to buy myself a drink, and I'm proud of it.
Were you upset about that whole situation?
Oh yes, it was very, very upsetting because both guys was good guys, Sheik, but when you do drugs, your brain don't work. You burn the brain cells, and they cannot be replaced.
Right.
All right. And you do stuff you would never do when you are sober. You know what I mean?
And I guess the other bad part about that was the breaking of the kayfabe, which was important at the time.
Well, at the time, yeah. That's what became kind of the entertainment.
And just back to the British Bulldogs for a minute, you probably worked them a lot when you were heels too. Did you like your matches with them?
Yeah, I like my matches with them.
and they obviously treated you respectfully.
Oh yes,
and,
yeah.
So you never
They
had...
didn't like Sheik. Sheik didn't like them.
No.
Yeah, but in the ring we was professional.
Sheik didn't like Billy Robinson either, right? For some reason.
Lots of guys Sheik didn't like. Yeah.
The worst thing about that whole arrest with me and the Iron Sheik is that folks think me and the Sheik are friends. And we're not friends. I gave the guy a ride one day, you know, and long story short, I had some marijuana under my seat and we were drinking beers. And the trooper pulled us over, and it was in the 80s, you know, I wasn't drunk, I was just sipping on a beer, so I was surprised I got pulled over. He's like, you can't do that. I'm like, in New Jersey. I'm like, I live in Louisiana, I'm sorry. So I got to give you a ticket for that. And he said, well, he spelled the marijuana. He says, you got any marijuana? Or he says, you got anything else you want to tell me about? And I figured, well, he's going to search the car anyway. I said, yes, sir, I got a small amount of marijuana under my seat, you know. And of course, boom, he hooked me right up and locked me up, put the cuffs on me. Then he pulled the Sheik out of the car, and the Sheik had 3 grams of cocaine. So it was a huge arrest. You know, Sheik had to go in front of a judge and everything, but we still made the show that night. And after the show, we went home, and I called my wife. I said, you know, to the hotel, I said, we got arrested, but I don't think anybody knows. She calls me the next day. She goes, everybody knows. So my first call to was my dad, God bless him, and he, you know, chewed me out a little bit, but my family really rallied behind me. And my second call was to Vince McMahon, and never before have I gotten through so quickly with Vince. And, you know, Vince, I remember verbatim, he goes, Jim, what have you done to us? And I said, Vince, I'm embarrassed and ashamed, and whatever you do, I understand. And he says, well, turn in your tickets and go home, because we used to have a big stack of airplane tickets. And he canned me. It looked like it was the end of my career at WWF or E at that time. And my buddy Jake, the Snake, tried to schmooze it over, but he called me. He says, you're screwed. And so I was like, well, that's when I called Dusty down at WCW. I set a meeting up to go down and see Dusty. And before I got there, WWE called me back up and said, just lay low, we're going to bring you home, or bring you back. But I never regained the big push I was getting then. You know, they always kept me kind of strong, but they never put the heavy gas on me. So it was really hamstringed my career.
Do you think you may have had like an Ultimate Warrior style push if that incident hadn't occurred?
Well, I don't know about Ultimate Warrior style push, but I think they were kind of grooming me for a championship for a while. You know, who knows which one, but especially in the beginning when I first came up, that people were with me. You know, WrestleMania 3, I had a big part in it. I mean, I actually went from the penthouse to the shit house on one deal, and I was lucky to survive that arrest. I think that would have killed a lot of guys' careers.
Sheik, I see him periodically. Sheik is Sheik, but he's only the Sheik like you guys see him when the light is on the camera. He's not that way with me or when the camera's not around. Now, sure, he's going to drink his beers and he's going to smoke. Unbelievable, the green gimmick, you know, the white gimmick, A to Z, Daddy. He's going to have it, but he's a great guy. He's a great guy, great old timer. He's in bad shape and they can hardly get around. Somebody said, I don't want to book Sheik. He's kind of goofy and he does all this nutty stuff. I said, at least you don't have to worry about him leaving the building. I said, they said, why is that? I said, well, he's in a wheelchair, so he can't go anywhere. And if you put the lock on it, he wouldn't know how to unlock it. So. Come get me. Unbelievable. Somebody, I said, we'll want to move.
How does he get in the ring?
He doesn't do any ring work anymore.
He doesn't? So
no,
what's he do?
Just
make appearances?
Just autographs, yeah. No more. He never had his knees taken care of. Luke Bushwhacker told me, I called him not so long ago. I said, how you doing? He's great. He said, I had my shoulder fixed. I had both my knees fixed. He said, I feel great. And then I brought him in to do these things when my hand was broken up here in last August. And he was in great shape and was doing very well. Yeah, he was running around like a 20-year-old.
Mm.
Yeah.
I saw some crazy footage of Sheik before.
Oh, he's nuts.
Crazy.
He can't help it. He only does it for the camera.
Okay.
I'm surprised he has not been put in jail, though, because he does it in the airport. And he does it at Customs and Immigration. How he gets into the country, I don't know. But then the other question is, how does he get out?
Yeah, the Iron Sheik is the funniest guy I ever met. And one, you know, they gave him $150,000 when he first came to WCW, and used them twice that year. Because they didn't send him a letter, it rolled over the next year. So he worked twice for $300,000. But we were in, I believe it was Lafayette, it was someplace in Louisiana, and he was wrestling Ron Simmons, and Ron was a bull of the woods back then. And he had driven the Sheik out of the ring, and they fought a little bit around the ring. And Ron rolled back in the ring, and somehow the Sheik had stepped on a chair, and it got caught on his ankle, and he was trying to kick the chair off, and you know, he's swearing, everybody can hear him in the building, "You jabroni," and he starts spinning around, he's spinning around like a top, trying to kick off the chair, and he falls through three rows of chairs, and he's still swearing. He comes in the ring. Oh, he's a trip. I love him to death. I just saw him lately. Wonderful guy.
The Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik played a very important role in Vince Jr.'s success. And I know the Iron Sheik maybe had some problems with that, but he made the right decisions. And I know he checked on those decisions and thought about them for a long time. I'm saying, you did the right thing, Iron Sheik.
Thank you, Mr. Rockland. I have a lot of respect for you.
So what happened was, but so Des Moines and I were going there, and the way we used to work it, or I did, or us, so you know, you always got your girls. You know, they're your regulars. Remember we talked about earlier, we don't like to call, I don't like to call them rats, don't, groupies, even though groupies is better than rats, but you don't want to call them, why put them down? Jake the Snake said we call our fans marks. We're the ones working our ass off to make them enjoy themselves, then we call them marks. Yeah, so why do you want to put your girls down? But so anyway, this particular night, you always got your regulars, and a true player knows how to play. You put your girls, you keep them separated. You get in the club, you keep them far apart as you can, and you make your rounds. You keep going back and check. Okay, I'll be right back. I get a drink over here. I'll be right back. And this particular night, and those girls wisen up. Sometimes they like, I know he's gonna play around. I got to keep his attention. I got to bring a girl with me that he might like. That way he'll stay around me to get with my girl. You heard me? That happens. It happened a lot, actually. And so Des Moines, we were in there in the club, and Sheik was like, I had my regular girl, and she was pretty good, man. She was pretty good. It wasn't like it was, you know, a dog sin, but it was. But I told Sheik, like, hey bro, watch it. You keep an eye on her. He knew what the game was. He knew what up. So, and he said, "Oh, Marty, of course, Marty, you don't have to ask me twice." And because I saw a new girl, I went to the bar, talked to her. Hour or so later, accidentally, I don't know what happened, but accidentally back in the room with that new girl, enjoying life. And then there's a knock on my door. I'm thinking like, who could this be? Why you messing me up? Stop, this girl. I'm gonna be with this girl. Open the door, look at the peephole first, and see like cop pass. And I'm thinking, which one of the boys thinks this is funny? You know, he's ripping me where it's real cops, and they're like, where is the Sheik? What's his name? Cosro? Well, they actually said his name, and I'm like, and I knew it. I knew it, and I was like, who you talking? You know who we're talking about. We're very aware of you, Marty Jannetty, and you're friends with goes by the Iron Sheik. And I'm like, well, I have no clue where he is. What am I supposed to know? They're like, well, we're looking for him. If you find him, you let him know. Okay. But once we shut the door and waited, I'm thinking like, Then I remember, like, I left them when that girl downstairs in the thing, in the club. What's going on? What the hell? And I actually knew where his room was. It was right down the hall. And I waited for the police. Opened the door. I told the girl, I'll be right back. And I go down there. In this hotel, they had a big picture window in the front lobby part. In this wing, where I'm coming from, I look out there. There's blue lights. There's red lights spinning, and I see the girl that I left it with on a gurney. They're pushing her to the ambulance, and I'm like, oh, and the Sheik's door's like two more doors right here. Sheik, and he cracks it like this. He goes, "Oh, Monty, what's going on?" I'm like, bro, what the hell was going on? You got let me in. I got to talk to you. Okay, Monty, please come in, calm down. It's not about me calming down. What's going on, man? That girl I left you with is on a gurney. Oh, Monty, sit down. Have a seat right here. Let me explain. Okay. He goes, Monty, you know how you asked me for look out for a girl? I look out for a girl for you, Monty. I take a girl, and she was tired, Monty, so I give her a little, Monty, pick her up. I give her a little cocaine, and then she'd get too high, Monty, so, I give her pills, bring her down. Then she I give her drinks, I give her pills, and then she looked at me and she goes, oh, where Monty? And I said, oh, fuck, no disrespect, Monty, but I said, oh, fuck Monty. Then Monty give you cocaine, then Monty give you pills, then Monty give you what? Fuck Monty. And I give her short clothesline. I was like, what? Short clothesline? Monty, look right here. And I'm like, she's on a gurney out there. Monty, she moves. She not know how to work. That's Sheiky.
Yeah, I've always liked Sheiky Baby, and he's always funny, just from times he's fallen out of the ring and getting his boots with the hook. He'd get the tip of his boots caught in the ring. It would be so funny, he'd love to do that spot. And the thing about Sheik and Volkov, just while we're on the subject, and I'll tell you, they could get such great heat, and especially when Slick was their manager. I mean, they would get such great heat. Nikolai would sing the Russian anthem, and of course the Iranian flag, and the American people weren't going to put up with that, and they would get the best heat, but it was impossible to make a comeback on them. So I'd get the hottest tag, boom, the roof would come off, and you punch them and they barely react, so you got to lay them in, then they get mad for you potatoing them, and you say, we'll sell them, and you go to slam them and your back goes out because you got to shoot with them to totally slam them. To give Sheik an ass bump, it's like an act of Congress, it's you give Nikolai a clothesline and it's in 3 stages. It's down to one knee and then to his elbow and then to his back, it's then you got to pick them up when you should never have to pick up a heel. But Sheik used to like to shoot a little bit, and being an amateur wrestler and then learning the art of hooking before hooking was cool, jiu-jitsu, that's all they taught us. We'd work out with
submission wrestling.
Submission wrestling, exactly. And from Carl Gotch, who was a tremendous submission wrestler. Hero was a tremendous submission wrestler. Gordon Nelson, all these guys, Jack Briscoe, Bob Backlund, all these guys would come down, and I work with them every day in submission. Jody Simon started coming down a little bit, and some of because Carl would train Jody constantly. They would work out together, and so Carl would bring Jody. There used to be some heat there, but that kind of with the Grahams, and since the Malenkos ran what at that time they called Outlaw, it was just opposition to the Florida territory, so there was some heat there. But anyway, Jody finally, he was always a gentleman, still is, as well as his brother Dean. But when you start training with these guys day in and day out, and you start learning that as an amateur wrestler, you have to be careful when you're wrestling somebody that knows how to hook, because if you tight waist them, they're going to double wrist lock you. Every time you grab them somewhere, there's like a counter in submission. So I learned submission, and so Sheik used to like to wrestle and shoot a little bit at the beginning. You know, we'd wrestle, do sit-ups, we'd grab a shoot hold once in a while, and you know, so we'd tap if it started to hurt, you know, or something like that, you know. But Sheik would brag that nobody could outshoot him, and in Hershey, Pennsylvania, he shot on me and with a front face lock, and I double wrist locked him, and he started going, God dang, you son of a bitch, you son of a bitch, let go. And he's tapping my eye, let go, let go. And Nikolai goes, he's laughing, okay, Sheiki, you can't be beat. I gotta get a picture of this. Look, he's telling people to take the picture. Look, the Sheik's giving up. And so I think because he got embarrassed in Hershey, that it just went to his head, you know, I don't know, Sheik started drinking and doing so many drugs towards the end there that he just got, I don't know, just a little weirded out, I guess. But that bothered him. And after that, you know, he started cutting all these promos on me, and I knew he was mad at me, kind of, at that point. But I thought it was water under the bridge. And he just perpetuated it to, you go to the internet now and they've got all these cartoons with the Sheik and I, and it's funny, but that's what started the whole thing. And really, that's too bad, you know, because Sheik was a tremendous athlete. He used to get Paul Orndorff had a bowling alley in Fayetteville, Georgia, and the Sheik lives there. I think he still lives there. Well, I don't know where he lives, actually. That's where him and Carol lived. And Sheik used to go to the bowling alley and get a case of Heineken, and have his wrestling trunks on and do jump squats and push-ups and jump squats and push-ups and drink Heineken in Paul's bowling alley parking lot. And some of the bowlers started to complain, and Paul had to tell Sheik not to do that in his bowling alley anymore. And Sheik got a little bent out of shape over that.
The Iron Sheik, you know, I had to drive with him. Those were always wild rides, you know, because he liked to smoke pot and drink. Right. You know, he's driving the car, and he was hysterical too, because he'd always wear his gear, just like he'd wear the boots with the toes sticking up. Like, you know, I'd pick him up in the car and say, what he'd be wearing. Yeah. And I'd go to he had a nice house in the suburbs in South Atlanta. His wife was like a banker, 3 good-looking daughters, and he had I'd always have to go pick him up at his house, and he had like a gym in his backyard. But it was funny because, like, you know, the gym would be in the backyard, but he didn't like cover the weights or nothing, you know. So all the equipment was all rusty, you know, because it get rained on, and just like so it's like. But he'd be out there working out, and I'd come pick him up. Hey, ready to go? She's sure. He'd be like doing bench press and stuff, and we would always have to go, like, the first thing we do, we have to go to the liquor store, and he would buy a like, how would I put this, like the largest amount of liquor, whatever it was, that you could buy for the cheapest price. Like, you know, per fluid ounce, you would get, like, you know, like these bottles like Mad Dog, which is like the worst liquor you could drink. These big bottles of it, you know, and he would just drink and smoke pot, you know, on the drive. And, you know, I didn't do that. You know, I'm driving the green guy driving around, you know, but it was funny. We'd always drive Atlanta to Birmingham, and what was this place called? Metter, Alabama, or something like that. It's a town, Moultrie, Alabama. Okay, and Moultrie, Alabama was you drive due west out of Atlanta, and then straight north to Moultrie into Birmingham. You go to Birmingham, right? So back then, we would do the drive. Like, I was driving him. I've 6-7 times I drove with him, same drive. But in between, when you go from Birmingham north towards Moultrie, there would be dry counties in Alabama where they don't serve alcohol, right? So it would be funny, you'd be driving, and like there'd be like you'd hit the dry county, but you're driving on the highway, and there'd be billboards kind of like Vegas lit up, you know, beer 5 miles, you know, like hey, they're letting you know alcohol's in the next exit stuff. So when I used to go with the Sheik after the show, it was a routine, right? We'd leave the show, and the show was in a dry county. So when we leave the show, we want to go get beer for the trip home, and we have to drive like 6-7 miles down the highway, to the next county to get the first exit, get the beer, right? So we'd always every time we get in the car, like first 2 or 3 trips. Hey, maybe we get beer after the show, stuff. Maybe we go get some beer. Sure, Sheik, yeah, we'll get beer. And I'd do it, see the sign, 5 miles, 2 miles next exit, pull off and get the beer, right? So it was funny, but like there'd be 3 or 4 exits in that county, it'd be beer off every exit. So I started like doing it, like he'd do the same thing. Hey, maybe we get beer after the show. Like it was like a routine, right? So I started going, so now like next exit, beer 5 miles, beer 2 miles, beer. So I was like joke around. I'd be like, I'd drive right by the exit, right? And he'd be like, what the fuck? Hey, you jabroni! He like to start yelling at me. Oh, Sheik, I'm sorry. And then, like, he'd be telling me the whole time. Hey, maybe we get beer. I act like I'm stupid. Like I just drive past and go, gee, Sheik, maybe we'll get down the road. It'll be some, and then pull off the next exit, buy a beer. But we did that routine like 3 or 4 times in a row. I'd pull the same rib on him. He would fall for it every time, pitch the same fit. I would just pull off the next exit. So he was a trip. We get in the car when I would pick him up. He would tell me the Hulk Hogan story, like every time he pick him up. Like he forgot he'd tell me the previous time. And there would be some trips we'd take. We would go down to like Pensacola and stuff, and I'd be with the Sheik for like 2 days, 2-3 days. And he liked to go. He didn't like to pay for food when we stopped at food. He think he's the Iron Sheik. I don't pay. Just figured he always had a bag of autographed pictures, or just pictures, and he would just like, hey, hit a picture. Food is free. So he thinks like he's leaving an autographed picture for the Sheik, just get everything free. And I'd be like, geez, I'd have to pay for it. I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna drive away and have the cops come and for like, you know what I'm saying? I was still. I'm still like an educated guy. Like, I got to see just, we can't just leave and not pay. They may call the cops and they see we're driving. So, but he would do that, and he wouldn't want to pay for drinks. He'd always just give people autographed pictures. But the funniest thing is he would always, like, if we were at we were on the beach in Pensacola one time. Because we had a day off, we're down there, and like we had to drive just an hour drive. So we go like, Sheik, want to go to the beach before the show? Sure. So he would be on the beach, with his, the boots and everything. Yeah, we'll walk around the back and just walking up to people. And this is how he'd do it. Like, this was his routine. He'd have pictures with them. If he saw people recognize him, he would say, hey, I give you a picture. You give me $1 for. He only wanted $1 back then. That's like he'd have this picture. Hey, maybe give me $1 for charity. That's just what he'd say. So people would like, just hand him a picture and they'd be all right. Reach in your pocket and give him $1. So the funniest thing is, like, so we go to the beach one day, and the Sheik's got his things up there. There's people walking around like bikinis and bathing suits, and Sheik's walking up like, hey, give me hit a picture, then give her $1 for charity. People have like their bathing suits. They're like, and actually, I have no money. And so the funniest thing was one day, he would always go, give me $1 for charity, or give me $1 for charity. So one day, like, I'll never forget, it was a guy and 3 kids, family, like husband and wife and stuff. And he goes, hey, did you give picture for charity? Give $1 for charity. And the guy goes, what charity is this? And Sheik's like, has this look on his face like, Oklahoma City bombing. All right, it's like that's what the charity Sheik would say, like, hey, you're giving to the Oklahoma City bombing charity, like, he was just keeping the money, of course, so Jesus.
Read that you were trained by the Iron Sheik. Is there any truth to that?
There's a lot of truth to that, as a matter of fact, man. I was working in the Houston wrestling office when I was like, I had to be 16 and 17 years old. Actually, I worked there from the time I was 16 to 20 when I started wrestling. And there was a football player who wanted to learn how to wrestle in Houston because I think somebody told him he could make a lot of money and it wouldn't be so hard as football. And Gary Hart used to come in every Friday morning and go over the matches with Paul Bosch before the show, and then he'd go down and do the show Friday night. Well, the Iron Sheik was in the territory. He was wrestling as Muhammad Farouk. And since this football player wanted to train to be a wrestler, Paul Bosch set it up where Gary would bring the Sheik from Houston, or from Dallas to Houston, and come down in the afternoon, like noon, and the football player and I would go to the Coliseum with the Sheik and work out. The football player only lasted 2 weeks, and Cosro came down a couple weeks after that. We trained maybe 2 months, Friday afternoon before the shows. And I always kept my gear in my trunk anyway because I wanted to wrestle, and Paul knew I wanted to wrestle, so I was ready for anything, man. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. After Sheik left the territory, I trained with Nick Kozak and Joe Mercer. So yeah, I trained with the Iron Sheik, man. He stretched the living shit out of me, man, a couple times. Slapped the dog shit out of me and stretched me. Wasn't a whole lot I could do about it, even if I wanted to.
What was his personality like in those years outside of the ring?
Yeah, well, the Iron Sheik wasn't so crazy then, or maybe he was still crazy, he just didn't show the insanity that he does now, I guess. He was a great guy. He was a pretty serious guy. He was wrestling as Muhammad Farouk back then. And it was a great crew, but his personality back then was a lot more serious, and I don't know how far gone he was. I mean, he was a pretty cool guy to me, with the exception of